looking good. What's this all about?
It's just my lockdown beard where laziness has got the better of me, and I'm starting to just let it grow now.
Great. Yeah, a lot of people seem to be doing this, I noticed. And I was listening to the news at lunchtime, and they were saying that lots of barbers are now offering black market haircuts. But you notice I haven't been for mine yet, so I'm getting really long here. I'm looking more like Shirley Temple as the days move on. But nonetheless, you don't know who Shirley Temple is. Obviously, you're far too young. So tell us a bit then about SmartVault. You did the Inspire tour with us. You were a great sponsor for us. Fantastic time. I gather the products moved on a little bit, but for those who were there and the products moved on, or for those that just weren't there, tell us a bit about what SmartVault is and where you come into this.
Yeah, so firstly, SmartVault was founded around 12 years ago in the US, and then we launched in the UK 3 years ago. We've had a really successful launch into the UK, slowly getting the brand awareness out there, and we've had a lot of customers come on board and they're really liking it. So what we actually do, in a nutshell, really, we are a cloud-based document storage, document management and file sharing system. So we work in a similar way to products like Dropbox or OneDrive, but we're designed specifically for bookkeepers. So the idea is that we're trying to replace email as a way to share sensitive documents. So we're going to have a secure portal where you can upload a document. Your clients there then receive an email notification that a document has been shared with them. They can log into the portal and see that document. Where we've actually kind of moved on from since we actually launched in the UK. So when we came from the US, we only ever had US-centric plans, terminology. So we've now got a fully UK plan. We are releasing a new interface very soon. So it's going to have a very more kind of up-to-date Apple-esque kind of look. So it's going to look a little bit snazzier, which will be nice. And we're slowly starting to work with a few more bookkeeping and accounting softwares. For example, TaxCalc, HubDoc, DocuSign. We're building integrations with those so we can help offer a more streamlined process for bookkeepers.
DocuSign, now don't they do the electronic signatures that you're doing? So why would you link in with somebody that's doing the same?
So we don't actually have signatures ourselves. So we integrate with DocuSign to do that. So the idea is that, let's say you have a tax return, you need to get that out to your client. You can basically click a button in SmartVault that will go out via DocuSign to your client. Your client can then open it up, electronically sign it, send it back to you, and then the final signed copy will just populate in SmartVault for you. So fairly simple, a lot easier than maybe sending a document out via post and then scanning it, printing it, and so on.
So the proof and the security comes when somebody actually opens the document by using a password.
Exactly that. So your client is going to receive a secure link in their email, and they're going to have to log in with their email username and a password, which obviously they choose. So that's really where it's going to be, legitimized that it's that person who's putting that electronic signature on that document.
Oh, okay. And I gather that things are going pretty well in the UK at the moment. So you're about, well, the end of this year, you were saying towards the end of the year, people will be able to pay in pounds rather than in dollars.
Yes, exactly. So it's been, from working in the UK, it's been a real annoyance for me that we can't offer the solution to be billed in pounds. Obviously, local currency is a big thing, but luckily the solution is good enough that people are happy to pay in dollars. But finally, in September time, we're releasing a new billing engine which will allow us to bill in pounds, which will be a real bonus for existing customers. They can now switch over to paying in pounds, but also customers that we're looking to bring on, it's it's a bit more of a bonus for them as well.
Oh, okay. So what payment engines that you use at the moment then? Why is this in dollars? Why can't you just use something like PayPal that converts or something?
Honestly, I've asked the same question to the powers above many times, and it apparently is just easier. That's all they come back with. But now, yeah, I think we've stressed the point enough that essentially it's a barrier to entry. So we're looking for, they're finally submitted to myself and Murray, who is the sales director in the UK, and they're now happy to listen, really.
Okay, Murray. Well, you mentioned Murray. Of course, I referred to you when we were on the Inspire tour as the Ant and Deck of cloud
Yes.
computing. But obviously, Ant is missing, and you tell me he's become a father again.
Yes, so I think it was the 23rd of April, his wife, Olivia, gave birth to Penelope. So that's to add to his 2-year-old Florence. So he said that the first week was quite nice, how Penelope was just sleeping all the time, but all of a sudden she's been crying and he's been having a lot of sleepless nights, as you'd expect. But yeah, I know he did want a boy, so I don't know how disappointed he was, but I'm sure he's happy.
Yeah, no, daughters are wonderful. There's nothing wrong with it. Mind you, so are sons, so I suppose so. But fancy knowing that. Oh, well, great. I was fortunate that we had a boy first, followed by a girl, which seemed to be the ideal solution. And it's all, well, that's what it's worked well for us. That was good. I must have had a bit of luck somewhere along the line. Anyway, and you're telling me that you're locked down at the moment with a cat.
Yes, I am.
You and the cat. Me
and the cat. So I couldn't quite get him into camera. He's sleeping. I've got a beam you might be able to see there, which he's sleeping just at the top. So
Okay.
Yeah, on the beam. So yeah, I'm a cat person. I've never really got into dogs. So yeah, he's coming up to 3 years old now. His name's Brola. He was Lola, but then 4 months after I got her, I realized it was a boy. So now Brola.
I'm not going to pass any comments on that at all, George. But anyway, so okay, oh, that's good. I noticed that on Have I Got News for You? There's a cat walking around in that in Ian's camera. I don't know if you watch Have I Got News for You, but they're all on cameras at the moment. But he's always looking around to see where this cat's gone. And the cat's now, everybody now is talking more about the cat than about him. But in Islam. But all right, okay, oh, that's brilliant. So how do you integrate then with other pieces of software? We're working on something, we've prepared the accounts, we want to send them off. We then just seamlessly click into your app, or how?
Yeah, so at the moment, we have one piece of functionality which will technically integrate with any existing software that you have, which is a PDF printer. So as long as you have the ability to print from your existing software, let's say auto entry or receipt bank, whatever it is, you can print that document straight into SmartVault. We're going to convert that to a PDF as well. So then that's available for your client. At the moment, we are working with mainly TaxCalc, Xero and QuickBooks to further our integrations with them. So at the moment, the main integrations with those is around the printing, but also copying and syncing client contacts and so on. But we're looking to get more automation. We know auto entry and receipt bank as well. A lot of from the ICB tour last year, we found a lot of ICB members are actually with those softwares as well. So we're currently in conversations with both to sort out an integration there. So I think we're in quite extensive conversations with auto entry as well, which will be good because I know they've won quite a few Luca awards.
Yeah, I mean, our members seem to like them, certainly. Receipt bank as well. It's just about that being bookkeepers, our members are a little bit more penny pinching. Sorry, they're a bit more careful with their money, so therefore they tend to go at least dip the toe in the water with the lower cost version, which I think they are. But yeah, certainly they're moving into that. I think we did a survey. I'm not sure where this has come from, but somewhere in the region of just over 50% of our members currently use something like auto entry. But so there's a big market yet to go for, and we haven't had chance yet to follow that up to find out why it is a low number. I would have thought more would have done that because just over 98% of our members are virtually fully cloud-based now. So it would make sense to have all the apps. Perhaps they've just got a bit of app fever or something, or and they need to just think a bit more about what they're doing. I know we're finding it very busy at the moment. Are you finding it busy, or is the lockdown slowed business, or
no? Surprisingly busy. So we were expecting everything to slow down. I think that was the fear of the unknown when the whole lockdown came into play. We didn't really know how everyone was going to react to it, and the fact that we help support remote working and a cloud-based solution where you can access those documents wherever you are, and your clients can also access those documents. It's kind of brought a lot of new people to us, and it's kind of forced their hand a bit into looking at the software. And we've also found that a lot of bookkeepers, they haven't maybe previously prior to lockdown, they haven't really had the time to look at any of these softwares they've wanted to, and now they've got that time on their hands and they're able to. So it's been really good for us so far. So hopefully it will continue.
Yeah, I mean, we really weren't quite sure how this was all going to affect our members, because obviously they have a lot of micro businesses, a lot of small businesses, but there's been such a lot of government funding being on offer that they've had their work cut out to cope with that. That's gone particularly well, I have to say. And we then got an upsurge in people wanting to retake their old exams or take new exams they've not got round to. So the tests that we do at the beginning of this year, the first so only just getting into the COVID lockdown, we're more than 100% up over last year. So it's just going through the roof. And I think a lot of people have taken this time to reassess what they're doing, look at opportunities, look at what is available to them. And then others tell us that they're completely rushed off their feet and they have no time at all. So I think there's a sort of a mixed picture out there, but touch wood, and I keep touching wood, but touch wood, we're not getting a lot of real horror stories yet. It might come, of course, but again, looking at the COVID television today, it would appear that the lockdown is really being eased a lot. A lot of shops are going to be allowed to open from, middle of next week, June. I mean, I think even by mid-July, they're going to bring out the hairdressers and the pubs and the clubs, possibly. We'll see.
I do hope so.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm going to have to let June have a go at my hair eventually or something or other on this, but we'll see how it goes. And she just likes me with long hair, so this is manna from heaven for her, because she wants me to have long hair. I always cut it because I think that you can't really do that. But those of you who've been asking where June is, she's actually having a bit of a lie down at the moment, because she's just discovered yoga in a kilt. Ladies, if you haven't found yet yoga in a kilt, I would suggest it. A couple of cheeky chappies. Never mind. So we did our Inspire tour a couple of weeks ago, as listeners will know. Just wanted to let you know that we've just had the figures back on that, and apparently an external organisation, whoever it is, gave us an NPS score, which is a Net Promoter Score. Now, George, you probably know what this is. I didn't. It means the percentage of the people who are involved who would 100% recommend you. And we received 92%, which apparently it's been described as super high, which is brilliant. Anything over 70 is regarded as excellent. So 92 apparently is just an unbelievable score, and described as super. So brilliant. Thank you all for that. A lot of you have been doing the tests. Thank you. There is a little bit of time left to do the tests. So if you want to see the Inspire tour and you haven't had a chance to see it yet, I think you can still purchase. Sophie's around, so if I'm saying something wrong, she'll tell me. Otherwise, you can. It's only £45, and there's a lot of hours of CPD there. And the other interesting thing is, we've got a list here of the things that people want us to do more webinars on. So as always, top of the pile, VAT. I mean, everybody loves to hate VAT, but never mind. Self-assessment tax completion. They're both on something like 75% of our members said that. Bookkeepers refresher courses. Now, that's an interesting one. We're just talking to George there about the amount of work that people are doing at the moment. It's surprising how many of our full members have actually taken an old mock paper or retaken their exams just to keep their hand in. So that's brilliant. Management reporting, how much to charge, month end and year end, FRS 105 absolutely going through the roof. And there's a webinar coming up shortly with Tax Filer, who will be talking about FRS 105 and 102.1a. Software training, budget update, CIS, very popular. Managing clients, that's where you come in as well, George, there. I mean, there's a lot of that sort of stuff they're very interested in. Corporation tax. Choosing the right app, there again. I think our members are spending a lot of time choosing their apps, and I know there's a there's an organization now been set up where they will tell you the best apps that you can have, etc. And it's an extortionate monthly amount of money to be in it. And I've already heard complaints that it's a little bit biased towards the people those organizations that are sponsors. Do you find that people get your sort of app overload, George, or you're able to still find a space there somewhere?
I think there's just so many apps to choose from that it can be a bit of a minefield. So I think we actually said this in last year's Inspire Tour when we were doing our talk on how the best way to go virtually is for a bookkeeper. But I think just spending your time on finding the right app for you, make sure it's going to fit your requirement, because once you've actually done all the research into looking at that app and then actually implemented it, it's going to take up a lot of your time to actually firstly go through the training, getting all of your documents or your client set up on the app or however you're going to use it. So it's just something which I think has got to be approached fairly carefully. Make sure you do all the research and that it is going to mainly fit your requirements, save you a bit of time, make your life a bit easier as well. And
I think the important thing is to look at what you want the app to do for you, not just because it's a nice looking app that's, buzzes and bells and it feels good. Is it going to be useful to you? Is it going to be useful to your client? Will your client use it? Yeah. I suppose it's the same old questions really, but in a slightly different context. And do you get many people who get your? You probably aren't going to want to tell me really, but do you get many people who get your product and then think, actually, I'm not using it as much as I thought I was going to, or do you find that most of them just escalate?
I think there are a few of our clients who are like that, who maybe when we do a demo to a potential customer, we're essentially showing how to get the most out of it. We're showing SmartVault at its best functionality. And that's because I do a demo so often that I know how to show it at its best. But maybe when it comes to the clients, they don't maybe get the most out of it. Maybe that's because they just want to use it for certain things and they eventually feel like maybe it's not right for them. But very, very few cases like that. We do have a lot of clients who obviously we're on board with a few of our consultants. We have ongoing support as well. So they tend to, if they go with SmartVault, they tend to get the most out of it for them, which is obviously great for us because it's a happy customer who's willing to stay with us.
Yeah, and I think talking to members on open forums and actually talking to some small businesses, a lot of people forget the capabilities of the software that they bought and use it for the core central part of the product without actually thinking, well, actually, I could do this much more with it if I just expanded out and did more. So do you do top-up training or do you follow-ups to make sure that people are using all the corners and crevices or what?
Yeah, so we have a customer success team, which is head up by someone called Kerry Brooks, who does all of our onboarding. And then what she's going to do off the back of that that initial training session, where she sets up all the branding, she can link SmartVault with your website, set up all the folder templates and so on. So after that, she's going to schedule in follow-up calls to make sure that you don't have any issues with the software, to make sure you feel comfortable using it day in, day out, and to make sure your clients are happy as well. So that'll be a consistent thing. She's always going to be the first port of call for any issues. And we're looking at expanding that team as well at the moment. So obviously, as things get busier, her workload is increasing. So if we can obviously get someone else in to help out with that, that'll be great.
Yeah, it's an interesting angle because actually I was going down that list before of what people who'd been to our Inspire talk, which as you know this year was virtual rather than the face-to-face. They had a piece here which was selling software to clients. I don't think they mean selling them a license. It's just the fact of getting clients to understand the necessity for this when it's already being done. And the thing about bookkeepers is they tend to do stuff which nobody sees them doing and they don't understand what they're doing. So offering them a piece of software doesn't necessarily come on the top of their list. And I think some of them would like far more information as to, well, how do you sell this to a client? And in fact, tomorrow, we've got one of our members, Vit Patel, coming on, who now runs a 100% cloud-based practice. and he's coming on. He did a stint at a conference for us and went down very well. But he's coming on tomorrow just to talk to us about, that almost a year further on, what it means to him, how it's going, what his clients think of it, etc. Because I think occasionally people tend to forget the client, and you can't do that. You've got to remember that the good thing about bookkeepers is they're very much a client-facing, friendly person. So you can't stop being what you are, really.
Yeah, I think it's important to find a balance of finding a software which is going to be helpful to your clients and yourselves, but not really thinking about the client so much that, even though it's going to benefit you loads, it might not benefit them as much. And then I feel I've had conversations with customers before where they feel their clients might not get on with it, even if it's going to really benefit the bookkeeper. And the only way you're really going to find out is if you actually give it a go. SmartVault, we've kind of built the end client in mind as well. So from the client point of view on their portal, it's very simplistic, very easy to use and navigate, because obviously we know the client has got their own job to be cracking on with. So we don't really want to be giving them a solution which is going to hinder their day when all they want to do is really upload some documents or sign some documents.
I mean, most of the software that our bookkeepers use is for bookkeeping, and therefore their clients, other than for those particular sets of accounts, they're really not going to want to take it any further. The big advantage of your product, I suppose, is that virtually everything that their client does, whether it's contracts or confidential messages or personnel information or whatever it might be, there's an application for your software that they should be using to keep it confidential.
Exactly, yeah. So we can essentially store anything, whether that's a document for internal use, so just your own future reference, documents which are going to be client facing, so you can share with them. You can set up folders which are particularly for example, I've set up a correspondence folder. So if you ever receive a particularly important email from your client that you want to store away, maybe there's something in writing in there, you can put that in there as well. But we can also make sure with access rights, obviously everything's trying to be confidential. So we don't want to give your client too much, or we don't want them to be overprivileged in what they can see. We don't want them to be able to see your internal stuff. So we can definitely restrict that as well. But in terms of security and keeping everything, locked down and confidential, every document that is uploaded to SmartVault, we encrypt to a bank level standard. We also do all the backups for you. And I know from speaking with a lot of bookkeepers, backups are quite a time consuming thing for them. So if that's something they can, get in someone else's hands, then great.
I mean, I think ICB should be talking to you as well, really. I don't know why we haven't done yet. I don't think we have, unless somebody's done something that I don't know about. But certainly from our FD's point of view, we have external directors, non-execs, particularly now, and this sort of thing, as far as I can see, would be great. But also we have, about 4,500 DBS certificates hidden away, and we have them on a very secure system at the moment. But it might be useful for us to have something which people can we can ask them once a year to sign to say that nothing's changed or something like that. So I can see the reason for it. I can see the need for it. I did talk to DocuSign a while ago, but they did seem to be quite expensive. So I didn't think members would necessarily want to pay me anymore for them to have yet another signature to sign. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see how it moves forward. And so, how are you finding in the app world nowadays when the three big software companies in this country, I'll say three, I mean, I suppose four if you include Iris. So you've got Sage, you've got Xero, and you've got QuickBooks, and Iris as well. They're all trying, or they are all bringing out things which 12 months ago somebody else was doing for them as an app. I mean, do you have to just get this right, sell to one of them and retire off into the sunset, or what? How do you think there is a future for the app, the independent app?
I think so, because the way how we look at it, you've got the big players, like you mentioned there, who kind of do a lot under one roof, but there's certain things where you look at, let's take, for example, a very smaller app like Accountancy Manager or Center. They do a similar thing to SmartVault, but they also take things from Xero and QuickBooks, which is great. They're kind of like a jack of all trades. But I think for this single app, for example, SmartVault Auto Entry, who focus on just their niche, I think that's where the future is for them. Because for anyone who's looking to get best of breed, where they can just have something which is solely focused on that one area, that's a real benefit. But then obviously if there's people who want to maybe find something which fits everything under roof, there's that alternative. So I think there's a market for both, really.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's quite interesting. I mean, I think it is the profession over the last 5 years, possibly a little bit longer, has changed quite dramatically, hasn't it? I mean, they were calling it a revolution. I mean, I refer to it as an evolution, because I think it was evolving. I mean,
yeah.
But I think there are a lot of new names that weren't around 10 years ago, certainly 5 years ago, a lot of them as well, that have become staple foods for us, basically. And obviously SmartVault is one of them. How old is SmartVault in the UK?
So in the UK, we are coming up to 3 years now.
Yeah, I thought so.
So we basically had an already established product in the US, and then we've taken what's been established and just brought it over here, which is going well so far.
Which is actually what QuickBooks did a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think when they first started, everybody had to buy in dollars, which they didn't. And then, you know, today, wow, they are moving on quite some strength at the moment. We're finding. I mean, they've gone for a particular. They cover a lot of markets, but one of their new niche markets has been the white van man. A lot of their advertising covers that, and they're the sort of people that have really benefited from having some form of control. Our members. Our bookkeepers have benefited as well, because a lot of those people who have a bit of fun to begin with then find that it's not quite as simple as they thought, so they still need some help. So the sight of bookkeepers running off into the hills thinking they were no longer going to be required, they've all now run back down from the hills and are picking up huge numbers of clients. So I think it's good, and I think that once you start to use any tool the way it's supposed to be used and what it's actually there for, I think it's got to benefit all sides, which would be good.
Yep.
So what does the average client do in a month as far as documents is concerned? I mean, are we talking huge numbers of thousands or hundreds or what?
It's difficult to say from
trade secret lie. But
no, it's difficult to say in terms of. I mean, we have a mixture of clients from 1 user all the way up to 50 users and above. So each user is going to be, filing away or sharing vast amounts of documents. But with us, we're very scalable. You can add as many documents as you want. It's completely unlimited storage, which I know with a lot of softwares out there is a bit of a restriction on them, which does put some customers off. But yeah, unlimited storage is great because it means that you can scale your business with the software that you've got in place as well.
Yeah. Matt's just been on and said, what's the integration with Xero like? I might have missed him saying while I was trying to make notes. So
yep. So at the moment, the integration with Xero is fairly small. We're basically able to copy existing contacts and client lists over from Xero into SmartVault, and we're able to print a document from Xero into SmartVault as well. So if you've got a document in there, as long as you have the ability to print, your default printer will then be turned to SmartVault. So rather than printing on paper, you're just going to print straight into the cloud, and we're going to convert that to a PDF as well.
Right. Okay. I mean, bookkeepers tend to still keep a paper copy, which is really weird. But anyway, that's one of those things. Then Claire has said, I'm one of those signed up a while back, but not really had the time to use it. It looks great, but I haven't had the time so far. Shame, but hopefully I can start using it at some point. Maybe I should get onto Kerry again. So Kerry's obviously tried it with Claire and not got very far. I mean, our bookkeepers do like new ideas, but I've heard this so many times before. Yeah, it's there. I'm really looking forward to using it, but I haven't quite got around to it yet.
Yeah. I think the funny thing about that is that bookkeepers always seem to be so rushed off their feet when we're trying to give them a solution which is going to help them save a bit of time. So if you can initially make that time to get the system working well for you, you're going to get that time back with how much it can save you. So as long as you can get that initial bit of time set out for training and have a chat with Kerry, it should be all good after that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember the cartoon. I think Murray put on a very similar cartoon, if I remember rightly. But
I remember as well.
The cartoon that I put on of the knight watching watching his soldiers fighting, and the arrows were flying everywhere. And next to his tent, hidden behind his tent, was a man with a machine gun, and he was saying, no, I don't have time for salesmen. I've got a battle to win. And I think it often happens, doesn't it? We don't concentrate on what we should be doing by concentrating far too much on what we're actually doing. You know, we're fighting the fires on a daily basis. And I think that's something that bookkeepers probably do a lot of, because we don't spend so much time in the office as perhaps, firms of accountants do, where you've got people who sit in, their job is to sit all day in an office. Our members are out there talking to their clients, visiting their clients, traveling between clients, or whatever it might be, get home at night. Most of them then look after the family and do whatever they got to do. It's quite a all systems go sort of existence. But I think that, but the number of people like Claire who've said, oh, I bought that. Yeah, I got that. I haven't used it yet, which is a real shame, because there's obviously something there that makes them want to use it. But do you get that a lot?
Yeah, definitely. Claire, you're not the only one at all. We've had some people who have signed up, and we've tried to schedule in their training, and then it just keeps going on, as in when can we get that first 60-minute call just to get everything set up exactly how you want it. Because once that's done, you can happily get all your clients set up on there and start moving some data which you might have stored on your local machine into the cloud as well. So eventually you do get that time back.
Well, Suzanne's just come on. Hi, Suzanne. As a new client of SmartVault, highly recommended, and we are in the process of putting more and more onto it, and to do away with paperwork. Suzanne, I can't quite figure out which Suzanne you are, but if you're interested, would you like to come on and say a few words and tell us a bit about what you're doing and how you've used it? Don't be too shy, but if you give me your name or your number on a message, I'll get Sobi to ring you and put you on, and we'll invite you on as a panelist within the next, if we can do it within the next 15 minutes, just come on. I won't embarrass you, but we'll just see what you think. You've probably gone completely red now, haven't you? But never mind. We'll see. We have to try. But I mean, we tend not to find out what people do. I mean, we go to conferences, we go to seminars. Our conference, the Inspire Tour, and our sponsors, who are great, and who really make it possible for us to do a lot of these things, tell us that our members are great, they're buying left, right, centre, and everything else, but we never find out who. So we're a bit in the dark, really, until somebody like Suzanne or Claire has just come up and said, yeah, got it, and all the rest of it. So that's the first time we find out that we were right in choosing you as one of our sponsors. I mean, otherwise we could be wasting everybody's time. Thankfully, I don't think we are ever, because they are sponges for new information. But we will see. Yeah, I can see she hasn't come back on yet, and immediately give me her number. So I think shyness has taken over. Don't worry about it. I won't. Oh, wait a minute. What is this? Oh, Suzanne Proctor. Hi, Suzanne. How are you? Sobi, if you are there.
Yeah.
Can you send an invitation out to Suzanne?
Yeah, sure.
Suzanne Proctor from Aberdeenshire.
Aberdeen.
Great. Oh, well, that's fantastic. Good. Oh, that's nice. Right. Well, we'll try and get you on in a minute, Suzanne. As soon as you pop up, I'll say hello. It's good to have somebody on from Scotland. We have the Welsh on and various other people on, and as always, we've got some people on from Ukraine. Do you do much in places like Western Europe or not?
No, I think we speak to people in South Africa, Australia, UK, US, obviously, but no one around that territory yet.
Yeah, we've got big numbers, of course, in Australia and New Zealand, Philippines, but New Zealand's Australia is sort of almost as big as we are in terms of numbers. So they're having a great time at the moment. Everything going well. Suzanne, hello, and how are you?
Yourself.
Where are you? You seem to have a rather large office. This isn't.
I'm in the log cabin, which is my office.
Is it? That's a big office. Wow.
6 meters, but what is it? Just under planning regulation size.
Oh, I see. All right.
Just under.
So how's life going for you?
Fine. Yes. We've been busy. Starting to tail off now, which we expected it to do. So the next couple of months could be a wee bit hard going, but we'll wait and see what happens. If we can just get Scotland moving again, I think that'll make a difference.
And I think Scotland, you're opening up lockdown very much the way the British is. The English are, sorry. I mean, I don't know whether we're quite aligned, but they're opening a few more businesses at the moment. So it should start to see stuff trickling through.
We're hoping, I think Nicola Sturgeon's supposed to be announcing something on Thursday, and something is supposed to be happening from Friday. So we'll wait and see what's going to happen.
Yeah, and we just keep our fingers crossed there's no big bounce again, and number goes back up. But
we've been very lucky up here. We haven't had a lot of COVID-19 big time like what down south has. And because we're so much more spread out, I think that's made a difference.
Yeah.
Scotland only had 3 deaths yesterday, so I think things are starting to drop. Their numbers are starting to drop now. So.
Yeah, I think I noticed on the graphs on the television that the number of people dying over the last couple of days has been lower than would be the normal average for those few days. So, yeah, I mean, they're going to have to let. I suppose the thing is that once you start letting people out, you're going to get all the drunk people who are going to need to be stitched up again, and all the walk on things or.
I think there's going to be a few of us turned into alcoholics after all this, I can tell you.
So, you're a SmartVault fan?
I am. I'm quite impressed. Once I got over the initial setup and got things working with the help of Perry, I will sing her praises. We've now got a lot more on it. We're just dealing with clients for year-end accounts, self-assessments. The DocuSign speeds up the whole process. We don't have to wait for things to go in the post, get it back, signed, turning around clients a lot quicker. And the same with the limited accounts once they're done. And obviously with GDPR and everything has to be encrypted if you're sending it mail, which you can't do. It's lovely. And we can also put all our AML stuff on it as well. Haven't done that bit yet, but that is the next bit we're going to do once we get some of the clients, most of the clients on.
What sort of AML stuff are you thinking?
Basically, anything like our identification, utility bills, everything we do for you guys, for obviously our license, we can then keep on this cloud software. So I don't need the paper copies in the files. So it'll reduce some or make space for more, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah, we'll have to look and see how we integrate that into AML Online, because I think that development is a few £100,000 more than we've got to spend at the moment. So I know everybody would like it. So it might well be worth looking at linking in. Yeah, that's a good idea. There's a new offer. But we've even come up with some more business for you there. So what else would you like your SmartVault to do? Is there anything else it could do for you other than make you coffee?
Well, I would love to make it for it to make coffee.
I'll put in a word.
Well, obviously, it's still early days. The clients are still getting used to it. We're using it more and more for any payroll spreadsheets that clients do. They're still trying to get to grips with some of the stuff. So we're just doing a section at a time as we're crossing it. So I need to play around with it a little bit more. We've got over the initial setup for some of them. And then we'll see what else it can do for us.
No, right, okay. So you're not actually doing anything different. You're just making that last bit of secure signature content easy. You're not passing bits of paper around. You're not risking getting stuff lost in the post.
That's it. Yeah, it's keeping it secure.
All right. So is this a sort of is Suzanne a sort of an average user for you, George? Not that Suzanne's average, but you know what I mean.
No, so yeah, we have users range from 1 user, as I said, up to 50 users, but our sweet spot is probably around 1 to 10 users, I'd say, in the UK, anywhere around there. As I said, we're very scalable, so we can go for whatever, but it seems to be around the 1 to 10 users. Whenever we go out to these events, like the Inspire Tour, that seems to be where we get the most traction.
What do you mean by users? Does that mean?
So a user would be a bookkeeper, and then a client would be a guest. So you could have Suzanne, who would be the user, and then her clients would be set up as a guest.
Right. Okay. Right. So how many staff have you got, Suzanne?
I've got 2, plus myself. That's 3.
Yeah.
Deals with it at the moment.
All right. Okay. Sorry, did you say one person deals with it?
Me.
You deal with it. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on my machine. I haven't looked into adding the girls, but the girls know obviously where to find the login and the password in case of the event that I am not around, and they have to access it. So, but whether we buy more licenses so they can have it on their machine, I haven't decided yet.
All right. Okay. Brilliant. So what's next for your practice then now?
Me just trying to get through this turmoil of 2020.
It's gonna be a weird year to look back on, isn't it, really?
Yeah. If I can get through to December unscathed, still in business, I'll be highly delighted.
Yeah, I mean, when this first started, we had 1 or 2 people throwing in the towel very, very quickly. But actually, a number of those have actually come back on since and said, my clients are still calling me, they still need me, so I'm reopening. Yeah. So they jumped the gun a little bit. I think some people, particularly those that have got childcare problems as well, if they've suddenly got schooling to do and partnering to do and all this sort of stuff, it has proved a little bit too much for some people. But I think the business is there if everybody's willing to find a way around.
Well, we've not stopped. Okay, the girls, the 2 girls are working remotely. So I'm hoping by the beginning of July, I might get the team back in. But obviously we have to wait and see what happens. I will say that a month ago, when the furlough was all kicking off, I was just about at my end of my tether and was shutting the door and not opening it. Didn't have a good week.
No. It was a lot, but I think it worked out better than a lot of people were expecting, because I think it's like everything else that's been thrown at us, like Millennium Bug and RTI and everything else.
Yeah,
I think people just do it, don't they?
Yeah, it's just getting your head around it. I'd like to have a picture in my mind how something works, and with the furlough, I just couldn't get the penny to drop for a start.
Right.
So, but I've managed to do May an awful lot easier than I did April.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think it's more than a penny we've dropped. That's going to be the next thing. How are we going to pay for this? I mean, I saw an email from somebody. Actually, no, it was a Facebook post. I think it's from my sister or somebody. An article just saying that we're looking at 60 billion or something or other. But actually, we spent 500 billion doling out the banks. We've spent 106 million on HS2. So really, this is just spare change to the government. I mean, we'll see how it goes.
Well, I can see VAT going to about the 30% rate, and taxes are going to go through the roof.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I've got a funny feeling. They've got to claw this money back somehow.
You pay more tax up there anyway, don't you, in Scotland at the moment?
Yeah, we've got 3 brackets for the early bits, 19, 20, 21, and then it jumps from there.
Wow. And you pay that as a Scottish person?
Yes.
If
you've got the S in front of the code. So at the moment, the codes is 1250 for payroll L, but for Scotland, it's got an S in the front of it. That's what differentiates it for the rest of the country.
So that's not S for sturgeon then?
No. Believe me. I won't swear on your webinar.
So the product that you've got at the moment, I was saying to George earlier, most of our software packages that we work with are accounting and that's it. Obviously, what you've got, which is document security and its signatures, etc. Have you been able to show this to your clients and see if it's of any use to them for their business rather than just for their accounts?
Not as yet, no. It is an idea that I have in my mind to try and do, but obviously lockdown sort of kicked that into touch just for the moment. So it may be beneficial to some of our clients. I've got one in particular in mind, but obviously until things start moving around up here again, I'm sort of stuck. So I'm waiting for everything to open up a bit better.
So there we are, George, there's an avenue. How are you going to get Suzanne to start peddling your product while she's out there? I'm sure there's a commission line in there somewhere, somewhere you can have.
We do actually have quite a lot of referral programs. So if
right, okay.
we can always chat to you to get through to your clients, because we've recently released a new plan which is called SmartVault for everyone. So traditionally we are designed specifically for bookkeepers, mainly with the folder structures that are already set up for you. But now we've designed one called SmartVault for everyone, where we can tailor those templates for maybe an electrician, a plumber, a marketing company, or anything like that. So we can essentially get anyone on there now, which is great. And yeah, we can go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose really plumbers or anybody, if they want somebody to sign to say, yes, I like your quote, it's all done and dusted, and they've got a lot more security there.
Exactly that. Yep.
Yeah. I think, what have we got here? Another one have we got? Are there any documents, says Karen Clark, with links, information to go with this webinar? I have Googled SmartVault pricing and I can only find US dollar sites. You can take that one again, are you, by any chance?
So yeah, we're currently billing US dollars, but it is changing in September. So we're releasing a new billing engine which will allow us to bill in pounds, which will be a relief to myself.
So how much is that hassle, is that, Suzanne? Is that just easy enough to do?
Yeah, it just comes out the bank.
Yeah,
essentially it's no different, but you just kind of have to do a little calculation in your mind, or a little Google dollar to pound.
But basically you just plug it in and let it play because you've got no control over it. Yeah,
pretty much.
Right, okay.
It
So
just depends on the exchange rate.
Yeah, I mean, you don't, because of our billing engine is in the US, you don't pay VAT, which is you know, all right. But yeah, ideally we want to get it into pounds.
No VAT, but you will do when it becomes an English product, then, presumably.
I believe so. I'm not sure. Powers above, I've got all the information on that.
All right. Okay. So have you got any questions you'd like to ask George while you've got him cornered here?
No, I think I'm okay at the moment till I get through dealing with what I've got, and then maybe look to see what more it can do for us moving forward.
Right. I was just having a look here. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, you're a regular viewer, so that's very good. I was just trying to see whether you were involved with the Inspire Tour this time.
Me? Yes.
Yeah, you were, weren't you? I thought you were, right. Yeah. So do you miss the contact of other people when we did the old Inspire Tour, or are you quite happy for this all to be virtual?
The Inspire Tour that I did this year was the first one I've done. The good thing about how a lot of this is happening to now is for the people that can't travel the long distances. Well, you know where, roughly, you know where I am, and it's getting these distances. It's the same with the branch meetings. These virtuals help, especially up here, because, you know, to get to Aberdeen for some people can be over an hour one way. They've then got to get home. It cuts down on a lot of that. So the Inspire Tour worked. Obviously, with lockdown, we had no option but to do it virtual. Inverness is 2 hours away. Edinburgh, well, Glasgow's 2.5. Edinburgh is about 2. You know, we can't, depending on what we've got on, it depends if we can go away because sometimes it turns into a whole day rather than just the hours. So it's quite good being virtual.
Yeah, I think we're going to stick with the virtual anyway when it's stopped, particularly for places like Scotland. Because the strange thing is that we have more people coming down to Summit than we do going to the branch meetings.
Yeah.
And because then I suppose you're going away for 2 days, so you make a whole thing of it, and that's great.
That's right. Yeah.
But going off for a day's worth of seminar, which is really interesting. But yeah, we've had very high responses to our, several thousand people for some of these things, and so that's good. So yeah, and your branch meeting's going well then.
Well, we kicked them off in May, got them going again. Keith dealt with it this time. I'm there in the background for him. So we were expecting a higher attendee list and more from the Aberdeen area, but we got more out with the area than we did from Aberdeen itself, which is a wee bit disappointing.
I think one of the problems we are finding at the moment is that we're doing so many of these things, people are getting too many emails, and we're getting people unsubscribing from things that they really need to be subscribing to. But we'll follow it up. We'll try and do something different.
Okay.
I mean, this week we've publicised the whole week's programmes to see what happens. I mean, I think it'll probably mean a lot of people will miss it, but we'll see how it goes. And the other thing is that at the end of the Inspire Tour, of course, we had the tests, and you did all of them.
I did.
Well done, you.
I was I got one. There was one I had to laugh at. Was obviously I'm trying to remember his name. Was it Peter? It was the ties, and I couldn't understand how come I'd failed. And I went, the ties. I'd been watching it because I watched it live. And I thought I was not paying attention to the colour of his ties.
No, of course you weren't. George, what we did, we had the seminars, we had the webinars going, and one presenter, Peter Stewart, who's our director of learning, he kept changing he put something on the screen and then change his time, come back. And at the end, the question was, how many times have I had? Ties have I had? I tell you what it has done, though. He got almost double the audience of everybody else, it appears, but actually it's the same people going back through just to get their questions right.
Yeah, well, so I must admit, I did go back through it.
Yeah, quite a crafty bit of marketing there.
I had to go back through that one to find out, right, how many coloured ties did he have?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but a few conferences ago, I actually changed my tie to match the colour of the person, of the software company that I was inviting up. A lot of people completely missed it. Until afterwards, and somebody said, I think I've got the wrong, I must have mixed up of years here because you're wearing something different. I said, yeah, that was the whole point. But, it's good. You don't come to watch the presenter, you come to learn, don't you? So that's good. Yeah. So we are going to be doing some more Inspire Tour stuff later on, because there's a lot of stuff now people have said, oh, I like that, but can I have some of this? And a lot of people say, oh, I like that, but can I have some more? And it's been really helpful for us, because we get 500 people to a conference, and we've been getting, the first thing that we sent out was over 7,500 people. So, it's good. It tends to tail off when it's a sunny day, but then what happens is people pick it up on Facebook, and we're getting about, well, you can see the numbers yourself if you look at it, I presume. I think that's how it works. But I mean, we've been getting somewhere, I think the lowest we did was about 650, and the highest we did was about 2,100 or something or other. We get a small number then on what's the other one? YouTube, and then a lot of people do the repeats as well, so that's good. So, George, have you got anything you'd like to say to one of your favourite customers here, or anything that you can tell her is going to happen, or anything else, or?
So
or yours.
Something that's going to happen. We've got a new user interface being released in a couple of months. I think July maybe. You'll have the exact same functionality as what you've got at the moment, but it's just going to have a bit of a facelift, which will be nice. So that's something to look forward to. And it should be, if you ever need any training on it, everything should be in a similar place, just look a bit cooler, really. But yeah, those are the main updates. But the big one, I'd say, is the new billing engine, which would be quite nice. And
sorry, actually, we didn't answer Karen's point. I've just realised, I'm just scrolling through to see what else we've got here. She mentioned the US dollar sites. Are there any documents or links, information to go with this webinar? Are you doing any webinars for us, general webinars? Anything coming up, George, that we can link into?
We are running a few webinars coming up. Actually, I can't remember exactly what they are, but I know
we'll put some dates out. The website's good,
definitely. Yeah, definitely.
And Karen Clark again has said, if signed up and loading documents into SmartVault and you subsequently retire, what happens to all those documents? That is, if you have your client's accounts in SmartVault and they need to produce them for HMRC 5 years later, will they be able to access them from the user if the user no longer subscribes? That's a good point, actually.
Very good.
Problem with a lot of software. What happens?
So if you're looking to retire or leave SmartVault, you basically just let us know. We'd get you on a call with our consultant, Kerry, who will migrate the data away for you into, let's say your local machine. So that data is going to be taken away and we're going to put it in that new destination for you. So it wouldn't really require, because essentially once I guess the payment stops for SmartVault, you don't have access anymore. So as long as that data is taken away, you've still got it all.
And we'll just access it then as a standard document.
Correct. Yep.
Oh, that's good. I mean, it's good to know that. Yeah. Are you happy with that, Suzanne?
Yeah. I've got no intentions of closing business for a while.
Good.
Well, you're too young yet. No, you've got plenty of years to go yet. No, that's great. But I mean, you've got to have some more staff shortly, because I mean that room is so big. I can't get over this thing. I mean, we see Jackie.
No, there is only room for 3 of us. There is 3 desks plus one at the side of me here, and there was no space for extra. So if I'm going to have to expand, I need a bricks and mortar building. Either that or my husband is going to be complaining about the amount of space I take up inside his yard. Yeah.
Right. So you would consider moving outside for an office then? You lose it being at the end of the garden, presumably.
Ideally, no. I would like to stay where I am because the views that I get from here is unbelievable, and it's nice and quiet.
Yeah. Okay. So, remote working for more?
Probably, yeah. That's maybe something to go down, but you've obviously built up a trust with somebody first for that, because you don't. Like my 2 have been with me a wee while, and I know them very well. But for somebody new and just to do remotely, I'd have to build up quite a good bit of trust with them first.
Yeah, no, well, I can understand. I think that. I mean, we've been trying to interview people for ICB virtually, and that's really odd because they're locked down anyway, so they're in a strange environment. You're in a strange environment, and you're sort of going into their homes instead of them coming into your office, and it's a bit weird. I haven't found it very successful, to be honest with you, but we'll move on with that. So I think what was I going to say? I've got a few notices to make. Suzanne, thank you for coming on. It was great at such short notice. It's lovely to see you and to know that things are going well, and we hope to speak to you again soon.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. George, as always, great to have you. I know we pull your leg a little bit, but it's a sign of endearment, nothing else. And we're really pleased with the way SmartVault has supported ICB members. And obviously, as you've heard, you've got some very faithful followers there. And wait a minute, just got another one coming. Oh. Yeah, no, that was just Karen saying thank you very much. So Karen's very happy. So you've got another police customer there as well. You've got at least 2 then. You've only got another, 8,000 or 9,000 to go at. And so you're all right. You're doing fine. And we hope to catch up with you soon. If you're looking to do any more bits of sponsorship and webinars, I mean, Sophie will talk to you, no doubt. She will, and that'd be great. And so thank you very much for that. Listeners, viewers, it was great to have you with us. Now, don't forget, tomorrow, Vip Patel is coming on to talk about his 100% cloud practice, and what it means to him and how he's done it. On Thursday, got 2 people coming along from the Genesis Initiative. Now, those of you who came down to conference and came to our breakfast at the House of Commons, that was organised because I'm a member of this group called the Genesis Initiative, which is a group that lobbies government ministers on behalf of SMEs. Not doing a great deal of it at the moment because we can't get hold of them, but nonetheless, that's what we do. Now, John May, who's their chairman, and David, who's their CEO, David Harvey, they're coming on to talk about the measures that they're trying to suggest to government needs to take to get us out of this mess when businesses are actually back and working. So what incentives might be useful in there? They're talking about a sovereign debt fund, which means that you won't pay the money back immediately and all this sort of stuff. It should be quite interesting. And it gives you a view from the small business and from the political end. So that'd be great. Obviously Friday, thank Furlough, it's Friday. Jackie Mount will be back here again. She has told me tonight, actually, it's gone up on the hub already, those of you who haven't seen it, but the statutory sick pay rebate scheme takes off from today, and there's a big instruction on what it's about and what it's for on the hub. Don't forget that. Right, that's open to employers who employ fewer than 250 staff, so I should imagine that's most of your clients. And you can also access that now as a tax agent on their behalf. So some of those things will stop, but that one isn't. So go onto the website, resources button, and then follow the COVID-19 hub. Next week, give you plenty of warning. It's a week of social media and marketing. We've got lots of social media companies coming on. Some of our members that are using social media and being very successful, telling you how to do that, so that while you're sitting there with nothing to do, it'll give you time, something to fill your time with. And so great. I think those of you who missed it, don't forget yoga in a kilt. You know, doesn't appeal to me, but some of the ladies I think like that one. And that's it really. So thank you very much for being with us today. We've crossed over our hour, and thank you to my two fantastic guests. And I hope to see you all tomorrow with VIP. Thank you very much, everybody. Bye.